Hello all my crafting friends. Welcome to my studio for Make It Monday. And if this is the first time that you're joining me, I want to welcome you and tell you that I am Lisa Fulford, your creative coach. And I hope that you'll hang around for a while and check out some of my other videos for some inspiration. And if you've crafted with me before, I want to thank you for supporting me in my crafting journey. And excuse me, I appreciate the comments and the likes and the shares. It tells me that I'm doing a good job, and that it kind of helps me know what it is that you want to see in future videos. And so just thank you for joining me and clicking that play button so that we can craft together for a little while. Before we get started with my projects, I have a couple announcements to make. The first one is that there is more for Sale-A-Bration, and so they've came out with a few more items for Sale-A-Bration, and so here we go. And some of these are out of the new mini catalog, and then some of them are out of the annual catalog. But they have a few extra stamp sets and some other papers, and a notebook kit, and a card making kit. So they have a little bit of something for everybody. They even have for if you spend $100, you can choose one of the items as a free item. Is the new ink color 23 new core colors, sorry, for $100, the markers. And then they also have the Dragonfly punch. If you spend $100, you can get that for free. And so they've got several neat things on here, and this here, Sweet Thoughts, Memories and More cards and envelopes. Those are really neat looking. And so we have that, plus we have, you know, our other items that are in our Sale-A-Bration. And as I stated, that if you spend a certain dollar amount, so if you spend $50, there's certain ones that you can choose from that amount. And if you spend $100, there are a few towards the back of this little brochure for that you can get for that amount, or you have these options right here. And so Sale-A-Bration is a wonderful time to you know, stock up on some of the items that you might need, like on cardstock or on envelopes or even your adhesives and things. Or, you know, you can always shop out of that new mini catalog that just launched in January. And so Sale-A-Bration is always a great time because you get, you know, Stampin' Up, they reward you. And then if you spend $35 with me, using a host code that I'll put up on the screen, then I will mail you the kit to make the two projects that we're doing right now. And if you spend $50, you'll get the projects, the kit for the projects, and then I also will send you an embellishment as a thank you for shopping with me and using my host code and spending $50 or more. But so you get double. You get from Stampin' Up and you also get from me. But if you already have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, that's awesome. Just hang out and get some inspiration from me. So we will move on to my next announcement, and that is you can sign up for my newsletter in the description below. And this is kind of like what my newsletter is. I do some in-person meetings, and then I also do where I'm like what I'm doing now, where I video it and, you know, put it on YouTube. So what we make at my in-person is what we're doing at this for these projects. And so I just video them so that if the ones that were at my in-person, they can look at the videos and recreate them if they want. And so when we meet in person, we do a card swap. And so we've already done January, and I've already done my February one. It was earlier today. And so I give them a theme for the swap, And so this month's was thank you, and then next month's will be hello and hi. So and if somebody would want to get in on these swaps, we basically do, you know, 2 cards the same, and then we try to guess who made what card. But of course, if it's one that gets mailed to me, then they can be in the swap. But what happens is then we draw numbers, or we just basically trade amongst. We used to do, like, if we had 8 people, we did 8 cards. And if I have enough interest, I can get back into doing some swapping like that. But it got to be where they were wanting to, you know, kind of take a break, but this kind of kept them engaged, and they're still using product, and, you know, and still, you know, doing some creativity. And I get inspiration from my customers just as much as my customers get inspiration from me. And then we also do a mystery stamping, and I do that a couple times a month, and some months I do it 3 times. And so for February, my first one is going to be February 8th, and my next one's going to be February 22nd, pardon me. And then in March, we're doing March 7th and March 22nd, or March, let's see, I don't think the 22nd is correct, even though I have that down as the 22nd. It's the March 21st. I'm sorry, I forgot to change that date. So March 21st, not 22nd. And if I can find it, I'll have to change that later. But anyway, and how that works is you go to creativecoachlisa.stampinup.net. It's down right here at the bottom. And go to my events calendar and find that day that you'd want to join for the mystery stamp. And at the bottom of the description, you can click here, and that will take you to the registration for mystery stamp. And when you submit your registration, you will get a link to get the clues for the mystery stamping. And then once you get the clues, you cut out all the bits and pieces for the mystery card. And I also suggest that you can cut out 2 and try to guess what the card is going to be that I'm going to make. And then we get together on Zoom. When you register, I will send the Zoom link to the email that you registered with, and then that will give you the link to get on to the Zoom meeting, and I will demonstrate the mystery card, and you can craft along with me, or you can just watch. And so you get a couple ideas that way also. And I do realize that doing mystery, it can be challenging because you have no idea, you're just cutting these pieces. But I usually design these in advance, like I have them designed for several months, and then I type up the clues and different things, and then I kind of forget about what kind of a card that I'm making. And then when it comes time, then I have to, it's like a mystery to me too. I have to figure it out from the bits and pieces. So that way I kind of know what my crafting friends are going through whenever they're doing a mystery. So that is something that I enjoy, and the ones who join me, they really enjoy it also. And then we also do bingo nights. About the 3rd Friday of every month, I do a bingo game night fun, and it has a card class. And so last month we did the Be Mine Suite, and this coming month we are doing the Lighter Than Air Suite on page, let's see what page, 33. Yes, so this is the suite that we're using for the up and coming bingo, and that bingo will be on February the 16th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you want to register, you have until February the 9th, and it is $40 for the registration. and then you get up to $20 in merchandise to put your kit together, and then you get all the bits and pieces for the card kits, and that can be mailed out to you for an additional fee of I can't remember if it's $8.95 or $9.95, but so I can mail that at an additional fee. I can mail your supplies that you're going to get. You'll get paper, and you usually get some kind of a ribbon or a twine and some sort of an embellishment. You get the envelopes to go with your cards. And so if you are interested in that and you'd want to see what that's all about, then register at creativecoachlisa.stampinup.net, like it is on the screen, and find that in my events page, and there is a registration button there, and that will give me the address where to mail your kit to, if that's how you want it delivered. I have people that do porch pickup, and then some that get it at my next in-person card class. So those are a couple things to think about. And so this is my newsletter. If you want to know what's going on here in my studio, if you sign up for at the link below to get my newsletter, and to get updates on what's going on with Stampin' Up, I would be happy to add you to my email listing. So we will get started now and here it also has a host code listed if you want to shop with me. But you can get my newsletter and my emails whether you have a demonstrator, a demonstrator of your own or not, but you can keep up with what I'm doing. So we will get started for our projects for today. So our first project is a card, and so I'm doing two. I'm doing a card and then a treat. And so this is what we're making. We are using the paper from the Sale-A-Bration, and that paper is on page 6, and it is the Flight Airy 12x12 paper. So with a $50 purchase, you could get this as your free item, and that is the paper that we're using for this card. And with a few additional supplies, then you could make this card if you have this paper also. And so the other thing that we're bringing in is this heartfelt hellos stamp to use the hello, and that is found on page, there we go, on page 10 of the catalog, and that's with a $50 purchase as well. So if you had other paper that you could use, then if you had the stamp set, then you could use this, or if you purchase the paper, you could use a different stamp set, or you could always spend $100 and get both of them. We're never going to turn down those sales, but no pressure for purchasing, but I'm just telling you what I'm using for my projects. And so here we go. So the heartfelt hellos, and I like it because it has, Dad, you're the best, and it's got Happy Mother's Day, love you more, and that could be for Valentine's Day, that could be for anniversary, it could be, for many things. And so then also enjoy your day, that could just be, hey, I'm thinking of you, or it could be a happy birthday, enjoy your day. And then there's also thinking of you this Easter, along with the hello that we're going to use. And so we will get started with all of this. So I'll pull out my pieces here, and this is how the kit will come, all packaged up like this in the envelope. And I'll pull this out, make certain there's no bits and pieces in there. We'll scoot this up here. I'll keep this up here at the top where you can still see it, but it won't be right here in my way. I'll grab my bone folder. So the first piece that we have here is Boho Blue, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's been scored at 4 1/4. And I like this color, it's such a pretty blue. And then we have another piece of Boho Blue, and it is 1 7/8 by 3 3/4. So we'll put this right over there. And then we have a piece of Pecan Pie. Yes, Pecan Pie. I have a hard time remembering that name. But this piece is 3 3/4 across here, and it's by 5 inches. So there's that. And then we have this piece of DSP, and this is out of that Flight Airy 12 by 12 paper. And I'm using this piece here that's the Pecan Pie design there. And then I have another piece of DSP that's 1 3/4, and it is at 3 3/4, so it's the same length as this one, but it's just a little bit narrower. And this is one of just the blue floral with the gorgeous like Flirty Flamingo florals on there, and the back side is the birds and some other things. And then I have another piece of DSP, and this piece is 1/2 inch by 3 1/2 inches. This is from one of the sheets that has it's just got the birds on branches, and so I just cut out little bits and pieces out of that, and then I'm going to fussy cut that here shortly. That's where the birds came from, so you know, I don't have a stamp set with an image in it. You can fussy cut out of all kinds of our paper, and I love Stampin' Up! Their products because they coordinate so well together, and you know, each side of the paper coordinates with the other side, and you can mix them and match them, and they just look so nice. The other piece here is a piece of basic white, and this piece is 3 1/2 inches by 5 inches, and this is for our inside piece. Now I used to cut mine to be 4 inches by 5 1/4, and you got 4 pieces out of a sheet of cardstock. And so a fellow demonstrator said that at Christmas time she cut hers down to a little bit smaller so that she could get more pieces out of her cardstock. And I'm like, that's a brilliant idea, especially I go through a lot of basic white cardstock, a lot of basic white. And so with that, I'm like, well, I could do that for the inside. So what I did is I take a piece of 8 1/2 by 11, and I on the 8 1/2 side, I cut it at 5 inches, and then that way I have a piece that's 5 inches by 11, and then I have a piece that's 3 1/2 by 11. And so then the piece that's 5 inches by 11, I then turn and I cut it at 3 1/2 each, you know, so I'll cut it 3 1/2, then cut the next one 3 1/2, the next one 3 1/2, and then the piece that's 3 1/2, I cut it at 5, and then I cut it at 5 again, and you get just a couple of pieces that are a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch to do some of your other stamping on, or to make a little banner, or you know, just to put in your stash till later when you might need it. And so that's what I love about this. It doesn't fill up the whole inside of the card, and that's also can be another plus, especially if you know you don't really know exactly what to say on the inside of your card. Then there's less space to write on, and so you can just do a nice little, you know, thinking of you, or you know, hello, I hope your day is going great, or I hope you did great on that interview, or what have you, and then sign your name. And so that's a long story, and that for just to explain how I did my basic white, but it saves me a time, and I get more pieces. And so I usually cut up several sheets at a time and just have them, you know, sitting on standby, because I put white in a lot of my cards for, you know, my inside panel, but I also do that for my very vanilla, and I just get them ready so that I have those already. So I'm gonna put that up there at the top. So then the next two pieces that we have is a Deckled Flirty Flamingo layer, and then a basic white, And this is one of those stylish shapes, and it has the stitching on it, and so this is the circle, and it will layer together here. So now we will get started making this card, and it goes together quite quickly. So first off, I'm going to layer these two pieces together, and I'm going to grab my liquid glue. I like it the best. And here's a few tips. First tip is I like to come from the corner and come in so that my corners get nice and adhered first, you know, because a lot of times they pull up. And then I want to add these, just a little bit of glue, and a little goes a long way. You don't need a lot. I just have a little bit, but this way there's glue going clear to my corners, so I know my corners are going to be nice and well adhered. So I'm going to just line this up like that, and I give it a moment to attach. And then I want to bring in this piece. So I'm going to set this off so it can dry for a moment. And I just want to take my glue, and I'm going to just add a small little line straight across. I think you can see that. So right here, I just add a little bit of glue. And we'll take this piece here and then add that right here. To the bottom, and I'm going to hold that for a moment, give that a chance to adhere, and I'll set that back up there. Alright, so I like to get bits and pieces off my workstation as fast as I can, so I want to take this, and I need to grab I'm going to grab sheet of my dimensionals, and these are almost used up. That's fine because we like to use all of them, so never throw away your excesses around the outside, because that's not excess. Those are just in a different shape, and you can use them for all sorts of things. So I like to cut several of them, and I'm going to just add dimensionals to the back of my keep wanting to say cinnamon cider, and I know that's wrong. It's pecan pie. Alright. Alright, so and then we're going to take away our backings. And this is our valley. So you can see it goes down, and this one's raised up. We have been taught that if you go, most people want to fold in on that valley. If you fold the other way, what it does is it helps break down the fibers to where if you take your bone folder and crease, it breaks the fibers so that your card will lay flat and stay shut instead of keep popping open. And so that is why it doesn't hurt anything if you do it the other way, but that's how you can get your card to stay shut. And so then you just take, I took the backings off, and so I'm just going to layer that right here on the front of this card. Alright, so now I'm going to take my other piece of the Boho Blue, and I'm going to layer this piece on there. And remember, I said it's the same length, but it's going to leave you about a 1/16 of an inch on the top and the bottom, because it's just a step down. It's just an 1/8 inch smaller than this piece. And then I'm doing that trick again, adding the glue to the corners, and then just a little bit down the center. A little bit goes a long way. Then add that right here to my layering piece. And then this piece I'm going to layer here. and we're going to glue it down as well, and just add to the corners. I've said many times, I don't know why I never thought of that. And same way with the changing the direction, like the size of your inside piece. So we'll add this, and it's going to go from edge to edge of the pecan pie. Just fit straight across there, and hold it and let that adhere. And then we'll open this up, and same way on the inside, how I showed on just doing this, I just add one little section at the top. If you want to put adhesive on the whole thing, you can, but I also save a little bit on my adhesive doing that, because I go through a lot of adhesive making cards for, you know, mystery and for bingo and for regular in-person classes, and then also for this. So I make two for in my in-person class, to have one, you know, near each station so that people can see the card, and then I make another one with them, so I end up making 3, and then I video one, and so that makes 4, and so I make several of them, and that way I get my cards, you know, made up for the year. And that's how later in the year I'll start working on my Christmas, and that's how I get to that, having all my Christmas. And so now that I've had it open a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and fold it and make certain that I've got that good and scored. Alright, so now then, what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to line these up as if I have them glued down. And so then I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and you can use these, or you can use a little bit bigger set, but I'm going to take, and I'm just going to cut straight as I can, and just cut that little bit off, because by offsetting a little bit you can see more of the DSP, and it gives it a little bit different interest. And so, but if you don't like that, just go ahead and leave it whole and put it in the center. You can put it off to the side, you can do whatever, because it's your project. I'm just here for some inspiration, and that's what I tell them in class too. So I'm going to lay that down, and I want to bring in my Flirty Flamingo ink, and I did re-ink this, and I'm going to bring in that hello from the stamp set. I already mounted it. I'm going to ink this up, lightly tapping, and then I want to come up here and put it to the top, try to get it as straight as I can, straight down, and just lightly straight up. And there's my hello. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to close my ink, and that right now is all the stamping that we're going to do. What I do is I leave my inside blank until I decide who I'm going to give my project to, and then I will decide if I want to stamp anything in there, or if I just want to do the writing to give the greeting to the person that, you know, I'm sending that project to. So I'm going to add my glue just a little bit to this, and then I want to line that edge back up where I cut it, and line it back up how I had it before cutting. So I'm just going to hold that down, make certain that adheres, bring this in and grab a few of these, add them to the back. So I want to be near the straight edge but not clear up to it. And then I'm going to add a couple over here, on that side. I'm going to remove my backings. Now on the one on the left, it is just a single bird. The one on the right is a double bird on a lot larger branch. And so I will give a couple tips on that as well. So I'm going to line this up along that Pecan Pie edge and press. So there is that. So now then we just need to do some fussy cutting. And the next tip is move your image, not your scissors. I mean, I might move them a little bit like this, but I'm not gonna like move my arm near as much as I will this one. And I like to be able to twist it in my hand. I used to be a preschool teacher, and kids always wanted to like move the wrist that had the scissors, and they would be contorted all which direction trying to cut their paper, and I kept trying to show them how to do it, and it just isn't natural to them. But then they finally would catch on. So this one here has some pretty purpley flowers instead of the Flirty Flamingo ones. It's kind of pretty too. And the bird is a little bit different. It's got some blue and some green, so I did choose these a little bit so that I had some variety. The cards are all the same, but yet they're a little bit different because of the different birds that I'm using to add to it. And then for a while I got to the point where I wasn't really sending out very many cards. I had a lot of medical issues over all of like 2023 and part of the 2024, and so I've received a lot of cards, but I really was not feeling too up to sending out cards, and so there was a long while in there that I really didn't do very many videos, and I didn't really make very many cards. But I'm starting to get back into making it and having fun at it again. And so see how I'm moving just the paper and not really the scissors. I'm just trying to take my time and leave a little bit of a white border, because if you leave a little bit of a white border, you won't notice as much if you make a mistake. If you cut right on the line of your image, it brings your eye to wherever that is, and it accentuates the mistake that you might have made, especially like if you get too close one place and then not close the next. And so I just like, it makes it, when you die cut, it usually has a border, so I like making just a little bit of a border. But you cut it how you want it. If you want a border, all right, and if you don't, that's fine with me. I'm just here for inspirations and not to tell you how to do your craft project. And I tell them that in my classes. You do you, and I'm just, this is how my brain worked, and this is what I came up with. And so I just want to share. And if you come up with a different way, I think one of the wonderful ladies, I think maybe made theirs landscape, which was fine by me because I like seeing that. And then sometimes I may want to use that idea. And so I'm going to try it. Come in at a different angle, because for whatever reason the scissors did not want to go around that. But yeah, I learn from my customers probably just about as much as they learn from me. Alright, so now that is fussy cutted out, and I'm going to, I need the scissors. I was trying to clean up my desk here, trying to keep it where it's not messy. Alright, so I've trimmed those up, and I'll bring my envelope out of the way, add these to the No, I'm not. I did not pop those up. I think I just glued them, so I need to add some glue. Now I don't want to go off to the edges here with my glue, but you can take your branch over to the edge of the card, but you don't want to extend farther than the edge of the card, because then it might not fit in your envelope. But you can have, you can line him up, and what the little point that I was going to make with this, if it's a little bit longer, for me to get both the birds on there, it was going to have to go off my card on this one. And so if I wanted to, I could have done that, and I could have like cut around the flowers here and just trim some of those flowers off. But I really like the blue flowers. I thought they looked great with the blue background. And so all I did was tilt my branch a little bit so that, see, he's straight, and this one here is kind of like sitting a little bit farther down. So you can make it however you want to make it where it fits on there. And so I just had it hanging over, clear over to the edge of my card, but not farther than the edge of my card. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So I think I'm going to turn it kind of like that and have it how these are kind of rounding down here. And I think I'm just going to like glue it like that and have it hanging off the edge, because that gives it a little bit more interest. Now if it hangs off, like this one hung way off, I did put a little bit of a dimensional under there, because one of the mini ones, because I didn't want to have it get bent and kind of ruin my card. You put too much, love into them that you don't want them ruined. So just add that. And then, now on this one I did it, but I did not on this one. Here's a little tip again. You can take a little bit of wink of Stella, and you can add it to your flowers, because this is DSP. And so you can just color this on, and it makes it sparkle and pop a little bit. And then I also brushed it onto the belly of my bird. You can add it to your whole bird if you want. Then on this one here, before I inked up my ink pad, it was a little bit light, and this one here is a little bit darker. But see here, I don't know if you can tell it, if it'll, there, it's a little bit splotchy at the tops of my L's and the tops of my H, and so I can fix that, because this is the Wink of Stella. I've already brushed these and kind of got it flat. The tip of my brush is a little bit flat. I got these little wild hairs coming out there on that brush, but if I just take it and just ever so lightly follow that H, it picks up that collar. So you want to stay on the letter, okay, and it picks up the collar, and it fills in any of the areas that it maybe didn't stamp its best. It just fills it in, and by using the Wink of Stella, what it does is, whoops, I went a little outside that, but that's okay. It moves that collar around, and then it also darkens the collar just ever so slightly, and so it has filled in my H and those L's and gave it sparkle. And then another thing that you can do to add sparkle to your card is you can take one of our spritzer bottles and your Wink of Stella and drip it into your spritzer bottle. Like, just give it a couple squeezes and just put a couple drops in here, and then you fill it up with alcohol and you shake it around. Now I'm going to grab a sheet of paper because I don't want to mess up my work surface. But you see, there's no sparkles here. This on the belly and the flowers and the hello. so there's none on here, but if you lay it here, shake this, and just give it a spritz, and like I'm kind of up here away from it, oh, probably 10 inches, and just 2 or 3 split, spritzes. Move that out of the way, and you can step up any, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but in person it just shimmers and shines on that, and it's just ever so lightly. See, I think you can see that now, and like on the cardstock up here, it just gives it an ever so light shimmer. And so that's another one of my tips. I do that a lot, especially Christmas cards. I love to do that for Christmas cards, especially like wintry scenes and stuff. I will lay them all out, card after card after card, and then just spritz over the top of all of them all at once, so then I'm not wasting any of it, because on my piece of copy paper I've got shimmer all over except for where the card was laying, and my work surface sometimes gets quite a bit sparkly. So anyway, so that is the first project. Alright, so I hope you like that, and you'll try that card design and see what you come up with. Alright, so now our next little project is for Valentine's Day. Now it's just right around the corner. Today's February 5th, so a week from Wednesday is Valentine's Day, and so this is what we're going to make. And when you open it up, inside is this cute little sucker, and this tucks behind here, and it will stand up like that. So there you go, there's that. So we will make this little project. Okay, so here are the lollipops that I'm using. They are called Swirled Heart Pops. I probably got these at my local Dollar General, and I'm in the mid-eastern side of Indiana, and so I don't know if they are good or not. I haven't tried them. I personally usually eat sugar-free candy, but the ingredients are sugar, glucose syrup, water, citric acid, artificial flavor, titanium and dioxide for color, and artificial colors, and it tells what coloring. So my family has a lot of food allergies, and so I think these are friendly to the people in my family, and so you get 10 of them. I'm certain it was like $1, $1.50. I don't really know, because I don't really pay that much for the candy, because when you're using a few of them, you don't want it to be real expensive. But so they were fairly cheap, I believe, and I maybe got them the last week or two of January, so only a couple weeks ago. So for this, we are going to use our Be My Valentine stamp set, because we want this Be Mine. And then we are going to use the punch. And what's neat about this punch is it can be a word bubble plus the bee's body. And then the antennas, you punch them out with the small heart, and then the wings you punch out with the large heart. But you can also just use it for just making hearts, and like I said, the word bubble. But I love this stamp set, and there's a video on my channel where that was the last bingo game night. That was our card class for that night, and so you might check that video out and get some ideas for to use the rest of the stamp set. But so I'm going to use the Be My stamp, and I already have that mounted on my clear block, and it's photopolymer, and they do stain when you're using these red type colors and purples, but it doesn't change the makeup of the stamp in any way. And so we're going to use the Sweet Sorbet ink. So I'll bring that in. And so here are our bits and pieces for this. So this is Sweet Sorbet, and this is 8.5 inches long, and I think it's 2 1/4. Let me see here. Yes, 2 1/4 inches. So it's 8.5 long, 2 1/4 inches wide, and this has been scored at, let's see, I think I made a note here. Yes, so this is at 3 1/4, 4 1/4, and 7 5/8. So 3 1/4, 4 1/4, and then 7 5/8. Okay, and then we have a piece of the DSP here, and this is that Be My Valentine DSP. And so this piece is, I'm gonna have to look because I didn't write that part down. I just wrote down my, where I was gonna score at. So this one's 8.5 long also, but this one's only 2 inches wide. So it's a 1/4 inch narrower than the Sweet Sorbet cardstock. And so you want to put your DSP on upside down, meaning the bees are directional, and so this is the rounded edge, and the edge where the narrow piece is, where the score mark is at the 7 5/8. I went ahead and took our rounding punch, and I can't remember if it's retired or not, but I went ahead and took the rounding punch and did both corners on that. And if you have one of those crocodiles that chomps the corners, you could use that. You could put it in a circle punch and mark it like where you're gonna put it into, and mark it on your circle punch so that you could punch it the same. But you'd have to come in from, like, if this is the back, you could put it in like this and punch it that way with a circle punch. But you'd want to mark it so that you could get both of them the same. And then I also took the DSP and I corner rounded those as well. And then that way it would help me remember that that's how I want my paper to go on this. So, because this is the top of the box, and this will come around, and so that will make your bees upright here and here. So, but I will show you how we'll put that together here in just a moment. And then we have this piece here, and that is from the Everyday Details. This is a gorgeous set, but what I love best about it are the dies that go with it. And so in here, and I store mine in my case, that's another tip. And what I usually do is put them on a magnetic card, but I just haven't done that yet because this was the first time I was using them. But I do take a photocopy of them when they're on the card so that I know how many is here, and I can at a glance quickly know if I'm missing any or not. And then I usually put them on a magnetic card and then put them inside this here little paper that tells the name of the die and like how many and what the number is. But I just haven't got to that part yet. But so I went to this smallest one with the holes around the outside edge. And the other tip for that is you want to put your cardstock down first. Then you want to put wax paper on top of the cardstock. Then put your die. Run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And that will make it where your die will let go of the cardstock, and these little little circles that go into these holes, they pop up out so much easier, and it puts a bit of a coating on the cardstock. You can't really feel it and you can't see it, but it puts a coating on there so that if there's any left, I just take my bone folder, scissors, or anything and just run it down there, and they all just pop out, and it's super easy. There's no, like, you know, having to poke each one of them or getting out the die brush or anything. It's wonderful. So that's a nice little tip. And then I just take them and I place them in the card little folder thing here, and I sit them in here with my stamp set and close it. But it's called Everyday Details, and those were everyday, I believe, Everyday Detail dies. Love them. They're one of my new favorite dies. And then they told me today that I must like Deckled circles, because we used Deckled circle on the last project, and then we're using Deckled circles on this project too. But we're only using one, but I got a second one in case I make a mistake, so I wanted to be prepared. And so this is from the Deckled circles. I love that set so much that I bought 2 packs of those, because I am constantly cutting them out. And I have a little tray here where I cut out all like little embellishments and different things just to have on hand, so when I'm crafting I can grab them. And so for the last one I had extras of the Flirty Flamingo and extras of these, and then I've got some other smaller Deckled ones in there, and so I just try to keep stuff on hand so it makes crafting and creating handy. So that you don't have to stop and go die cut. You can pick from those. So that's another tip. Try to have some of those on hand when you're cutting anyway. You know, cut out 4 or 5 more. And so I have extras, so in case I do make a mistake, because you never know, especially when you're filming. So we're going to take in the Sweet Sorbet, and I've re-inked this one recently, and this is photopolymer. And usually you want the Stampin' Pierce Mat under it, but my surface is a cushy Stampin' Pierce type mat underneath, so I'm not bringing one in. And I'm going to lightly ink it up, and you see when you lay it down on there it turns dark. When you lift it up it lightens up, so you can see the darkness and lighting getting lighter. So, and that's just because it's touching the ink and removing from the ink, but there's ink on there. So I want to come in, and about the top third I want to go to the bottom of that top third and just go straight down. I am not pressing, I'm just barely touching, and then straight up, and there's my B-line. And you will almost always get a perfect image if that's how you do it. You lightly touch straight down, and then straight up. Now with the white cardstock I usually give it a bit to adhere and absorb the ink, because there are white cardstock, I don't know if it has a coating on it or what, but it seems to be a little bit slicker than a normal cardstock. And so I like to make certain that I get a crisp image by leaving it on there for just a little bit so that the ink can adhere into the paper, but do not press, because then you can distort your image. Just a little tip on that, little FYI. And so I'm gonna go ahead and close this because I don't want to get my hands in it, and I'll set this over here to the side. And this project goes together quite quickly with a bit of a little slowdown on here in this. Then I have, this is petal pink because that matches the petal pink in the wings of the butterfly. And then this is the Sweet Sorbet, and I like to cut them in strips so that I can I don't have to get all the bits and pieces and all the junk. And so I like to put it, after I've punched some, I like to put it in here. And so I'm going to scoot it down, and that little heart I don't need. And so the opening from the heart that I cut before I can put it where it's there and I won't have a bunch of trash to pop out anywhere. But you can always, you know, punch the whole thing and get both hearts. So that one, I'll punch the whole thing, and there's our 2 hearts. So I'm done with that one. But we won't need this little one, but I can use it on another project. So I've already got that, and I have a little bowl for my tiny little embellishments like that. And then for this one here, I'm just gonna do the large heart. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna come through. No, it's not gonna work to not have any. I'll show you what I mean here though. So I just need this one heart, the big one, and this is trash. Okay, so I wasn't the one that punched prior to this, but I'll show you. If I bring this in, I can generally get this to where there's virtually no waste, because I made the other heart go inside this one, and then I don't have all the little trash pieces and stuff. All right, so that's, you need 2 hearts. You need a sweet sorbet and a petal pink heart, and so those will be extras for another project later on. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring this and line it up at this rounded edge, and then I want to straighten this up so that this end lines up, that end lines up, and then I get it straight down that center. So like that, about like that. Now I'm going to lay it down on my counter, and then I'm going to lift just this edge, and this one little, I just moved it, this one little end down here, I'm going to add a little bit of glue just to this end, and only right here in the very center. So I'm going to just add a little bit of glue there. I don't want to go clear to my edge because I don't want it to ooze out. Now I would need to straighten this little thing back up, and I'm going to show you why we're doing it this way. Okay, so I could just glue this all down. I just moved it again because that gives you wiggle room, but I didn't want to wiggle. I could just glue the whole thing down, but then when you go and score on the lines, it will buckle your cardstock. So let's not buckle the cardstock. So I only glued for this end. Now then, I'm going to take it and fold on that score line, and I'm going to make certain my edges are lined up, and take my bone folder, increase that. Okay, so then now I'm going to work it this other way because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you can go the other way. And then I'm just going to add glue and just straight down the center to the next score line, and then I'm going to stop. I'm not going to get to the edges because once it's wrapped, it'll stay. And we'll just take and rub this to this next score line and give it just a moment to adhere. And we'll flip it over and then bring this over, and I want to line up my edges and crease. And then I want to go to the next one, so I'll just keep raising it, and so this is the center little 1-inch score. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to fold that, and make certain I line up my edges so that it's going straight, and then crease that. Okay, so I just squished out my glue. That's okay. I have a glue eraser, and I'm going to erase that away. Because if I don't, it'll be a problem later. And then we're going to add just a little bit of glue here. Okay, and then this one I'm not going to like, I was trying to get the paper to lay flat with the cardstock. And so this is the front, so I don't need to do that. Try not to shake the camera, but I need to, I had glue on my finger and touched it. Instead of inky, they're gluey. Okay, so this is pretty much our lollipop holder. And we're going to open this up and take our punch. And I can't remember what size of punch this is. I got it off of Amazon. It was a 2-pack. A 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch, and it's says that it's in office school supplies, but it was like less than $6 for the 2 punches. And so but anyway, so I'm going to come in here as far as I can go and in about the center, and I'm going to punch, and then I'm ever slightly going to go to the side of there. I need that to be just a little bit bigger than the 1/8 inch, but I don't need it to be the 1/4 inch. Okay, so this is where the sucker stick is going to go. Well, for whatever reason, my recording stopped, so I hurried up and got caught up with the project for where the video left off. So this is where the sucker stick's going to go, but we are going to grab the glue dots. I'm going to add them to the back of our sucker, and then I will show you. So I'm going to grab my take your pick tool here. Mouse off here because I don't know if that's how come it stopped recording, but anyway, so I'm gonna add these to the back of my sucker. There we go. And then we're gonna put our sucker up through the hole, and we're gonna line it up just past that score line, and then we're gonna hold down our sucker so that it will adhere to the back of the box. And then we'll bring that up, and this is our box here. And so I like to set it down here like this, and then just pinch the corners and then pull them forward ever so slightly to help it to form to that stick, so that it will, like, there's nothing holding it, so it'll stay together for there. And now we will work on our focal point. And so we've got the Be Mine already stamped. We'll bring our glue in, and we're going to add a little bit of glue right here in the center. We don't want to go past and get it onto where the holes are at, because we don't want it squishing out. And so then I'm going to take my Be Mine and add that right here. And you remember I gave you that tip on this piece about how the wax paper makes it where it'll pop out. I've got a few in here. If I just take my bone folder, just they come right out. Oh, there was one on the back because I probably cut it 2 at a time. And if not, usually if you just run it across there, oh, there it popped out. If you run it across there, they just slide out, because across the back here we've got all kinds of those. So that was that tip that I gave you, that the wax paper makes it release quicker. And so I got these little bits and pieces. I'll get that out of the way. So just another little tip. So here we go. This is our Be Mine. I want to take this sweet sorbet and this heart, and I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. A little bit will do you, because if you put too much, it's going to squish out. And then I'm going to add my little heart down here. And then I'm going to take this petal pink one. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this one. And then we're going to layer that over this other sweet sorbet heart. Kind of like that. So that's our focal point. I ended up not needing this, so I'll just move that out of the way. And so now then I want to flip this over, and this is going to be the top, so I want it closest to me so I know that's the top. I'm going to take my little pieces here and my scissors, and we're going to clip these little edge pieces. Remember I said we use all of it. We never throw any of it away. And I'm going to come up here, and I want to have a little bit so that that's where our flap is going to tuck. So I don't want to get too close to the top. And adding those kind of like that. I think I want one little bit more, because I really want it to stick to the front. It's like that. And then take your pick tool is great for removing these backings like that. It makes quick work for, well, except for this one here. And there we go. And so then we want to take this, and we do not want to put it over this little flap. We just want to bring it up to about that flap. So I'm going to open this up, and I want to just put it on here straight as I can and centered the best that I can. Just kind of stick that to the front, and then now that will tuck back behind that little bit of that. And because we pinched these and folded it forward, it will stand and hold. So we need our glue dots again, and our take your pick tool, and we'll take that glue dot and we'll add it to the back of this bow and sit that between the stick and the opening here. Just kind of hold that down, and then bring in my scissors and then trim away any excess. There's some glue on there. And this ribbon is that sweet sorbet bordered ribbon, like that. And that is our box with our lollipop in there. And then another little trick you can do, put this stuff out of the way, is I'll bring that sheet of paper in that I used before, and take my shimmer and just spritz it. Give a little shimmer to it. And earlier, I believe I called these butterflies, and I meant bumblebees. But so yes, you just chuck that right behind there, and that little flap holds your thing, or you can stand it, or you can lay it down. And so that is our project. That is our sucker project. So I'm going to put this one back together there. So there's that. And here are our cards that we made earlier. So I hope you will take this card design and try it and just see what you come up with that in this design, what papers you use and colors, and give this a try, because you can make several of those from one sheet of cardstock. And so when you need several treats, then I like to go for something that doesn't take a lot of product and they're quickly to produce, but they have a big wow. And so thank you for joining me and stamping with me for this little bit of time, and investigate my channel and see what other inspiration you can find. And so I mentioned earlier that I would put the host code up on the screen, and so right here's the host code along here, and right here is the website that you go to add in this host code, and that puts you shopping with me. If you already have your own demonstrator, then by all means shop with them. I don't want to steal anybody from anybody, but if you want to shop, go right ahead, but no pressure. You can still do some of my projects, and you can join some of my classes and have fun. Any last things here? I'm trying to remember if there was anything else I need to tell or explain, but thank you for joining me. And if it is your first time, please come back. I'm trying to add videos more regular, and so hopefully we can stamp again together. So happy stamping. Good night.